Hello, everyone. This is Iveta Astorga from the Hispanotech Mentorship program. We are thrilled to have all of you tonight in our third webinar, Building Your Brand and Digital Presence. I want to say a huge thank you to all the volunteer teams that makes these webinars possible. And now let me introduce you to tonight's speakers, Kyle Borges. Kyle is a branding consultant, career development coach, and brand and graphic designer, to mention just a few of his credentials. You can connect with him through LinkedIn. And in tonight's presentation, Kyle will walk us through his aha moments, personal situations, and career path, which I found insightful and moving. We will have a Q&A session for 15 minutes before ending. So let's welcome him. Kyle, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Yvette. Excited to meet everyone. I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen. Just give me 1 second here. All right, let me know when everyone can see. Okay, perfect. Awesome. Well, Yvette, again, thank you so much for that introduction. Very excited to be connecting with everyone here at Hispanotech.ca and sharing, my top tips and strategies and the building blocks that are necessary to teach you how to build your personal brand and digital presence. Before we get started, I just want to start off with a short land acknowledgement. So this is very important to me as someone that has a business built around diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. So I am coming to you from the traditional ancestral territories of the Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee or Iroquois peoples. So after hearing that intro, or if you've looked me up on LinkedIn or we already know each other, you'll probably see this as my career path, as Yvette just highlighted. So I started my career in sales. I eventually moved into leadership. And then I made that switch to the tech and startup worlds as an agency recruiter, which was still very heavily a sales role. And then eventually founded my business, Be Seen, which, as Yvette mentioned, focuses on helping you build your personal brand, digital presence online so you can get hired, land your dream jobs, and build a network. So it's an easy career story to follow if you're looking at it from a very holistic approach. But that isn't who I am. That's just my work experience, which is only a very small part of my personal brand. So what I want to do is share a personal story with you before we actually begin our chat today. So this is the story of who I have been at different points in my life, culminating into who I've become today. So here you can see me at 6 years old. So I'm standing there in my little Disney hat. At the time, Kyle at 6 years old was obsessed with Disney. I'd been several times already. I also loved singing along to the Spice Girls, especially. I was super talkative and I wanted to be friends with everyone. So if you asked anybody who knew me at 6 years old, my personal brand was the kid who was always having fun. At 13, though, I was a completely different person. I was obsessed with acting and singing. I starred in every school and community production that I could. There's a little photo of me on stage in the musical production of Annie. I won, the drama and the arts awards. And at 13 years old, if you asked anyone who knew me who I was and what my personal brand was, it was that I was the amateur actor and performer, the wannabe star. By the time I was 24, my life was almost unrecognizable to somebody who knew me when I was 6 or when I was 13. At that point in my life, I was knee-deep in my sales career. I moved into leadership. I was obsessed with my job. I very quickly became a yes man and was consistently being promoted and was training rooms full of hundreds of people on sales. So you can see that photo there. I'm in San Antonio, Texas, training a room of 120 sales leaders on how to, train high-performing sales teams. And if you asked anyone in that room who I was or what my personal brand was at the time, it was that I was a high-performing workaholic. And then I crashed. I burnt out completely. I had almost no motivation to work. I wasn't seeing my friends. I wasn't seeing my family. I started to live with crippling anxiety and depression. I had given 10 years or a decade of my life to hustle culture, and it nearly destroyed me. So I decided to take matters into my own hands, and I quit my dream job, and I took a mental health sabbatical. So I was completely lost at this point and at what I considered truly to be rock bottom. That said, 6 weeks into my sabbatical, I decided that the best step and best path forward for myself when it came to protecting my mental health and where I was looking to go in my life was to start my own business. And I began to share the story of my struggles online and on LinkedIn. And here's what happened. So in the post that we're looking at right here, I finally shared the journey that I'd been on that led to my sabbatical. Up until this point, it was something I kept very private. It wasn't something that I was vulnerable about, especially in my professional network. So I started to share my experience. I told the story of my crippling anxiety. I told the story of the depression that I had dealt with as a way to connect with and build a network of people who've had similar experiences and that were trying to navigate the next steps of their career. What I wasn't prepared for in sharing that story was what happened next. So that post where I told one of my most vulnerable stories about the experiences I had with mental health was seen by more than 23,000 people. So that alone is quite daunting. But that post engaged more than 300 people as well. And what's really fascinating that I want to highlight here is that from a business owner perspective, that post alone generated over $2,000 in sales. So most importantly, though, I started to iterate and reintroduce my personal brand in an authentic way that looked very different than I had previously in my career, where I was that workaholic and that hustle culture mindset. So it began to shift. As I also shared earlier a little bit, I love to travel. So Japan is probably my favorite place to visit, as well as my partner's. In that photo there, you can actually see the two of us. We spent an entire month at the start of this year living and traveling around Japan. I've always, had a dream to live there. So I thought, well, why not share that story and share how that was an inspiration behind the decision to work for myself. I did that again in hopes of finding digital nomads or entrepreneurs that were foreigners in Japan that I can connect with and learn how they were starting to find their footing as business owners in that space. The result I got was much more than that. What I didn't expect was that 4,000 people would see that post and that I would generate dozens and dozens of net new followers, multiple leads, and again, over $500 in sales from sharing that story. I even had someone comment, sharing a ton of information with me and sending me resources on how to start a startup in Japan or start a business. I had another connection, as you can see there, reaching out, wanting to have coffee the next time I'm there. So it started to open up doors in ways that I wasn't necessarily expecting. So as I began to share my stories, anywhere from mental health to my entrepreneurship journey online, my personal brand, like I said, began to evolve. I started attracting different types of people into my network than I had before. So when we think about who I was at different points of my life and how that shaped the way I think, feel, and work, I'm now left to ask myself the question, who am I now? I know who I was at 6. I know who I was at 13. I know who I was at 24. Who am I as I'm approaching 30? Well, firstly, I'm proud to say that I'm absolutely not a workaholic anymore, and I no longer advocate for hustle culture. That time away from that mindset that I so strongly believed in before really allowed me to become and be proud of being a loving partner, an uncle to 2 beautiful nieces. I'm a brother, I'm a son, and I'm a friend. As you know, I'm a travel addict who's obsessed with experiencing different cultures and languages. And I no longer live in fear of my anxiety and depression, but I'm rather using my experiences to advocate for change and to share my story online. But I still love tech, and I still love startups, and I still love people, and I still love community. And I'm now an entrepreneur and business owner. So today, if you ask the people that know me best and know what I do and who I am as a person, my personal brand looks very different. I'm now a personal branding expert who's passionate about mental health at work and prioritizes my friends and family over my career. I'm now known really as everything that I was, everything I am, and everything that I will be. So now that you've had a chance to uncover my personal brand and its iterations over the years, you're probably sitting here asking yourself, how do I create a personal brand? What do I do? Do I have one? Well, the great news is you already have a personal brand. You just might not know it yet. So what I want to really start with is why you should actually care about building a personal brand in the first place. So as you saw, There's a whole bunch of different reasons that it's benefited me, but some of the ways that it can really benefit you to build a personal brand are, number one, you get to network with like-minded people. So for example, I'm passionate about Japan, I'm passionate about travel and having a potential life there someday. So by sharing that story, I was able to start networking with people who have had similar experiences or who are looking to have a similar experience. You can also find like-minded employers or talent or companies that you're looking to engage with. Building a personal brand can unlock entrepreneurship or solopreneurship, as it has for myself. It can generate new streams of income or revenue as a business owner for your current company, or as a solopreneur. It allows you to become a thought leader in your space and really open up those doors. And it also helps you get hired faster. We'll talk about that a little bit later. It opens doors to new opportunities, and sharing your story, as you just saw, can also be financially lucrative. So when building a personal brand, it's very important to be authentically you. I know we've talked about this a couple of times as I've mentioned the different stories that I've shared. But as you saw in my own brand, I'm not just Kyle, the personal branding expert. I'm not just my career or my job. My network know me through the stories that I share. So they know me as Kyle, the personal branding expert, who also loves to travel, who loves to visit his family, who loves to advocate for mental health and tech, who loves to advocate for LGBTQ rights in the workspace as an LGBTQ plus thought leader and business owner myself. So authenticity really builds trust, and trust builds community. My life really is who I am at every touch point that you meet me at, whether you're my friend, whether you're someone I'm working with, or whether you're a customer or a client. People follow people that they can relate to or that they've had similar life or career experiences with. So stories that you share of both wins and losses, you saw I shared some stories of exciting times when I was traveling in Japan and wanting to live and work there one day. And then the times where I was sharing the vulnerability of the experiences that I've had with mental health and anxiety and depression. But both of those posts and both of those stories that I've shared inspire and motivate people to solve problems, to chase dreams, or to create goals for themselves. And you're able to do the same with the stories that you share. So it's one thing to see someone else's brand and really dive into mine, but we're really here today to take the initial steps to uncover or iterate on your personal brand that you already have. So it's time for you to actually ask yourself, who am I? And we're going to do a little activity together. So what I want to do is take 5-10 minutes together, and in the chat, I would love for you to write down a few notes of who you are at home, who you are at work, and what you want to be known for to a stranger that you just met. But before you get started, here's some examples that might help you or guide some of your answers. So if you're thinking about who you are at home and what your personal brand is there, it might look like parent or partner. Maybe it's chef, gamer, or gardener. And at work, that might look like people leader, sales professional, SEO expert, collaborator, mentor. And what you want to be known for really is entirely up to you, but that could look like a mental health advocate, an empathetic friend, or a tech expert. And once you've completed answering these questions, we're going to take some time, like I said, to go through a couple of responses to really begin identifying the threads that connect who you are holistically across every touch point in your life to a tangible brand that you can start to create for yourself. So I'm going to give you some time, like I said, 5-10 minutes, but I'm here to answer any questions. While this is coming from you, it's very collaborative. So feel free to utilize me or the chat if needed when asking yourself these questions. And I'll keep an eye on the chat and let you know when everyone's responses are in. And if anybody's want to chime in for a second, if anyone's having any questions or needs any support, feel free to bounce some ideas off in the chat if that's easiest for you as well. Seeing responses starting to trickle in, very exciting. Oh, I think you're on mute, Yvette, if you're talking.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I was thinking that those could be easy questions, but when we start to think about it, okay, well, it's a good moment. So who am I at home? I'm still thinking.
Yeah, it's not easy, you know, and it's
Exactly.
hard to think from someone else's perspective of like, who am I at home? Like, what would people
Exactly.
think?
Because I don't want to say I'm a mom or I'm a spouse or I am thinking in something original probably or
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, if you are a mom or you are a spouse, those are who you are. That's an authentic piece of your life. So that's always,
Okay.
you know, worth highlighting as well.
We put the answer here in the chat, right? For everyone.
Yes, see.
Awesome.
Please.
I'm loving some of the answers that are coming and I'm reading them ahead of time. All right, I'm going to give us like another 2 minutes, 2 or 3 minutes, and feel free to keep popping in your answers if you're not completed yet after that as well. I see a lot of common themes in a lot of the answers. A lot of you, really care about the people in your lives and your family and your friends, and you're all very hard workers. Very exciting to see. All right, I'll give it another minute and then we'll just continue chatting, and we're going to continue discussing these answers together. But as you're typing, if you still have, ones that you're working on, feel free to keep popping them in the chat. I would love to see them. All right. So, like I was saying, I'm seeing a lot of amazing answers and thoughts in the chat. So, what I would love to do is actually take a few minutes together to go through some of your responses. And what I would love to do is help you to begin identifying the themes or those brand threads that I mentioned that connect who you are holistically across different touch points into a tangible brand. Like I said, I call these little brand threads because they're tying everything in together. So, I'm going to go ahead and find a couple in this chat. I'm going to try to get a couple here for you all to see. I won't be able to get to everyone, unfortunately, but hopefully it gives you some context and some inspiration on how you can find these. So Jose, I see here that at home, you are a son, a husband, and that you're sensitive and a highly inventive friend. I see that at work, you're a leader and mentor of an amazing group of professionals that together solve problems and create a group of innovative solutions. And then I see that to strangers, you want them to think of you as someone who's kind, happy, and collaborative. Well, if I'm going to think about a couple brand threads or pieces of cohesion, from who you are at home, who you are at work, and who you want to be known to for strangers, there's quite a lot here that actually works really well together. So I see that you are a very, sensitive friend, like you said, who's highly inventive. Well, if I'm thinking of someone who's highly inventive and, someone who's very sensitive, that's someone who would make a fantastic mentor and a fantastic leader. So it makes sense that at work, you're someone that takes on that role because you have that sort of intuition or that, ability to connect with people on a human level and build rapport in a way that they can, really understand. So I'm sure that you get told all the time that you are quite a collaborative and happy person. So it's no surprise that those are pieces that you want to be seen, from strangers. And again, that collaboration ties into like that mentor relationship. You're someone that loves to collaborate. You're someone that loves to, engage with your friends and your family, like you said, as a son and a husband. So those are some, initial brand threads that I'm starting to pull from yours, Jose. We'll go to another one here. I see Karen. At home, you are the person who loves to be in the kitchen preparing food for everyone. I'm very jealous. I would love an invite. At work, I see that you are the person who enjoys interacting with different departments and leading projects from beginning to end. And I see that to strangers, you really want to be known for being a fun and caring person who motivates others to follow their dreams. So I'm seeing a few different threads here as well. So if we're thinking about, being someone at home who loves to cook and loves preparing food and loves being a chef, it makes sense that you're someone who's so cross-functional and cross-collaborative at work because you're someone that loves to try new things. You're obviously very inventive, and you're someone that isn't afraid to take risks and really show and put everything on a plate in front of everyone to try out. So it makes sense that you're someone that wants to be, inspirational to others because you obviously want to inspire or make people happy through the food that you cook or through the work that you can do with teams, in your place of work. So those are a couple, again, just initial brand threads that I can see tying in who you are as a big picture into some tangible aspects that you can actually start to pull at and think about. I'll go through another one here. Fiorella, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. So I can see that at home, you are a girl that loves to dance while you're cooking. Me too. I love that you love to dance in the shower. You focus on, your to-do lists according to your priorities. And at work, you're someone who works as a team. You're very organized. You like challenges and you love your job. And I can see that you want to be a person that is trustworthy, that's very funny, and again, that cares about others. I think what I love the most is that all of you really want to be seen as people that are very caring, and I can just tell from your answers that you already are. But again, if I'm starting to think about, brand threads in yours, Fiorella, if you're someone that loves to focus on to-do lists and loves to, have a lot of priorities that you're checking off at home, it makes sense that at work, you're someone who's very organized and someone that likes to work as a team because you can pull in from each other and accomplish tasks and get things done, like you said, while still loving your job. And it sounds like even at home, when you're doing things that can seem tedious, like cooking, you're someone that dances. So it's obviously, that you're someone that loves to, bring fun, bring a sense of belonging and inclusion in everything that you do, whether it's at home, at work, or with strangers. So hopefully that was helpful, and a couple different threads there that we were able to chat through. I would love to touch every single one of these and really help you identify them. And feel free to reach out to me afterwards if you could try to find some. But hopefully this was a great start to really understanding and identifying some of your brand threads and who you are. So now that you've started to build or iterate on your personal brand, it's important to know some of the ways you can actually take the brand that you're starting to understand and to uncover, and how you can actually leverage that brand to build your online presence. So the number one way, or number one reason, or way that you can leverage your personal brand online is when you're trying to land your next job or you're looking to get hired. So, building a personal brand and digital presence is one of the best ways to land a new job or to make a pivot in your career. And there's a couple different reasons, but here's a few of those reasons why. Number one, there are 58 million companies that are hiring 8 people every single minute on LinkedIn. That's a lot of recruiters, that's a lot of hiring managers, and that's a lot of networking to find talent. And when you're thinking about finding talent on LinkedIn or networking with recruiters, 85% of candidates that are being hired in that pool are being found through their existing networks. So whether it's someone like me and what I used to do in a past life where I was an agency headhunter, or it's an in-house recruiter at a company that you're really interested in working at, they're all going to be looking to their existing networks to fill those roles first, because those are people that are visible and that are relevant to them. Over 122 million people have been already hired on LinkedIn, and it's the #1 platform being used to hire talent directly. So it is imperative that you're visible in a space where being seen is the difference between getting an opportunity presented to you or not being found at all. And then another point here, of how, leveraging your personal brand to land your job is very helpful, is that recruiters and hiring managers are actually 31 times more likely to reach out to you about an opportunity if your profile has been branded and optimized. They may still reach out if it hasn't, but again, you're 31 times more likely to be reached out to. So if you've ever seen those messages come through on LinkedIn of someone, a recruiter or a hiring manager wanting to chat about an opportunity with you, they likely found you through aspects of your profile that were already there. So recruiters are looking for someone, like I said, who's not only a great candidate, but someone who looks good on paper. And that's why building a strong brand is key to landing the right opportunities that you're looking for. So what I would love to do is break down what an optimized and branded profile actually looks like. And that way you can understand what you should be doing and what you should be avoiding. So let's talk about what the not so good looks like. Missing out on building a personal brand and optimizing your digital brand online will work against you. So let's take a look at the basics when it comes to your LinkedIn, your brand on LinkedIn and what you should be looking out for. So what you're seeing right now is a snapshot of a LinkedIn profile. The area that you're actually looking at is essentially a digital business card. That's the way you can look at it. And LinkedIn intentionally dedicates a massive amount of real estate on your profile to this area for a few reasons. Number one, it's the first thing you see when you go to someone's profile. It's the first thing a recruiter will see. So this is an opportunity where you can showcase your brand and your career in a way that makes it easy to understand who you are and what you do. This would be the space to do it. It's also the first place that a potential prospect or a future client may find you. So if they don't have any insight into how you can work together or how to get in touch with each other, that's not going to help them, and it's definitely not going to help you. And it's also the best place, like I said, to showcase your personal brand visually. So let's take a look at this profile here that we're looking at. I would love to hear in the chat, knowing a little bit about what we've talked about so far about branding, what do you think is missing when it comes to, this profile? I know there's a couple points there, but I'd love to see in the chat if there's anything else that you can pick out in terms of what's actually missing here. A cool cover photo, agree. Sales in which specific field? Exactly. Yep, the background banner photo. That's just the stock one that comes with LinkedIn. Yeah, those are some great points. Awesome. So yeah, so you can see in this profile, if I'm a recruiter, and very few connections, great point, Rodrigo. If I'm a recruiter that's looking at this profile, I'm seeing the same thing. If I'm seeing this as the first piece of real estate and I want to really uncover very quickly, almost like a resume in 30 seconds, who this person is, are they right? Should I dig deeper? This doesn't tell me what I need to know. There's nothing that's appealing visually from a personal branding perspective. There's no context to what they do or why they do it. There's a very vague heading. I know somebody mentioned sales in what area. Sales can mean a million different things. So as a recruiter, I have no idea what they do. They have very few connections, like someone said. They have 236, which is great, and they're starting to build that up. But they're definitely not, extremely active on LinkedIn. I see like a stronger message about who I am, an elevator pitch, exactly. And there are a lot of different areas in this contact card section of your profile that those could be included. And we'll talk about them in a few minutes. But yeah, you should have noticed all of those things. And there's no call to action. There's no indicators on how to collaborate. And when you're thinking about digital real estate, it's a massive waste of space, and they're not getting the ROI that they could be on this. So let's take a look at another example. So LinkedIn, and especially your LinkedIn profiles, are quickly becoming the modern resume. As I mentioned, there's 8 people being hired every single minute on LinkedIn by 58 million companies. So it's essential that you clearly highlight the impact that you've made in your career, which is a reflection of your personal brand. So if I'm looking at this profile from a recruitment perspective, I likely would not prospect this profile for a few different reasons. So I don't have any information on what this person's career has actually looked like. I can see that they have been a merchandising manager. I can see where they worked and for how long, but it doesn't really tell me much else. This person is also not actively engaged on LinkedIn. I can see, they only have 32 followers. They haven't made any posts yet. So it's therefore unlikely to be a viable prospect for someone who's looking to hire or recruit for a role or to network on the platform. If I'm a recruiter and I'm seeing that they haven't made any posts, they haven't, made really any connections or attempts to network, it's very unlikely that taking the effort and the time to message this profile to present an opportunity will probably fall on deaf ears, because they likely aren't even logging in or checking their LinkedIn messages. So it's great to know what not to do when building your personal brand and digital presence, and we've taken a look at a couple of those aspects. But what's more important is to understand what you should be doing and what good looks like. So I'd love to take a look at what an optimized digital brand and personal digital presence looks like on LinkedIn. So you might recognize this guy right here. That's because it's me. So as a recruitment and branding expert, I've taken advantage of the largest piece of real estate on my profile to, as clearly as possible, really define to my target audience and to my target network what I do, where I do it, and how we can work together. So if we actually look at my profile, a lot of the components that we're missing on a very high level are included here. So you can see I have a profile photo, I have a banner image, I have a headline, I have a call to action, and I have some context into the types of services or work that I do and how I can help. So as a guiding principle, when you're starting to build your brand and digital presence, there's 5 very, very easy things that you can really keep in mind when opting your profile or optimizing your profile on LinkedIn. So if you're thinking about the profile photo or your profile photo here, not having a photo could mistakenly tell a recruiter that you are inactive or won't be easy to reach. But if you're not comfortable showing your face, there's other options that you can do. So if you have an iPhone, you can try a memoji, you can try a drawing. It can still be super fun and actually still show off who you are from a personal brand perspective without having to show your photo if you're not comfortable. Writing a headline is essential. Think of this as your elevator pitch. I think it was Sandra who mentioned that in the chat. So it's like an elevator pitch, but a bit shorter, a little bit less characters to work with. But it's able to be utilized to showcase to recruiters or hiring managers or your network what you do, where you do it, and you'll be easier to find that way. So for example, you can see in my headline there, I help you get hired on LinkedIn. So I'm the founder of Be Seen Get Hired. So you can see that there. It's very easy to understand. And then a banner image, I know we talked about that. So that's that, profile or that long cover photo at the top of your LinkedIn profile. It's so easy to do, but as you just saw in the examples there, so many people don't do it and they miss it. Try not to be those people. Even a solid color is, better than nothing. Your brand is everything. But again, if you're looking to really tell your story from a personal branding perspective, this is a great piece of real estate that you can actually do that in. So for me, before anyone, like a potential prospect or client, reads anything about me, the first thing they see is that banner image on my profile. So why not include copy or text to provide context into who I am very, very quickly? So they can see the second they open my profile, get hired on LinkedIn. Whoa, how? Oh, I brand people into dream jobs using the power of personal branding and SEO. Okay, that makes sense. Let me dig a little bit deeper. So it's very easy to see and to have digestible pieces, in a piece of real estate that's so visible on LinkedIn. Another tip that I have to really, optimize your LinkedIn profile is to fill out your about section and specifically use keywords that are relevant to your job or to the job that you're looking to get. So that way recruiters and hiring managers are able to find your profile better. So from a recruiter perspective, they're using platforms like LinkedIn Recruiter or Sales Navigator, and they're using very specific search parameters to find candidates for specific opportunities. So if you are in sales or if you are looking for a sales role and nowhere in your profile do you have any mention of sales or business development or prospecting or hunting or farming, it's very unlikely you'll be found, because if they're looking up, those sorts of keywords and you don't mention that anywhere, you likely won't be seen or presented opportunities. So using, keywords like sales or business development, or if you're in marketing or demand generation, or you're in personal branding, these are all really fantastic keywords that you can be thinking about when you're starting to write your about section or your headline to actually have some SEO in there. And then my best tip, always on LinkedIn, especially when you're building your personal brand and online presence, is to post something. So whether you just landed a new client, post about it, whether you're the subject matter expert on your team, share what you know, or whether you're going through something personally on your personal life. Maybe it's that you're starting to navigate the change of coming back to work after being off for a parental leave or a leave of absence. These are all fantastic stories that someone out there is looking to read. Okay, so what I'd love to do is just check out a couple other ways that you can leverage your personal brand online outside of just when you're looking for a job. So another fantastic way to leverage your online presence and brand is when you're looking to build a network. So when you think of building a network, it can sound pretty easy, and it is, and it's not. So it's easy to hit connect and, start to add people to a digital network, but it truly takes ongoing effort and consistency to remain relevant, in the groups that you want to, the groups of people that you want to be known in. So like I mentioned before, recruiters are looking to hire people in their existing networks. 85% of people are landing jobs from the networks they're already in. So by being relevant, by posting, by consistently engaging with your network, you remain top of mind. So when opportunities are presented or do align with what you're looking for example, you're easily able to be, found or thought of. Or from a network perspective, if you're looking to collaborate, people understand who you are as a subject matter expert or as a thought leader in your space. Profile SEO is also a fantastic way to attract your ideal network. So if you're not familiar with SEO, that's, search engine optimization. So as I mentioned, recruiters and hiring managers, and also, regular users on LinkedIn are searching and they're using keywords and they're looking to find people that they can connect with and network with. So by leveraging SEO on your profile, that'll be very helpful in building a network as well. And then, if you've ever seen the notification on LinkedIn, which you probably have, if it's, you've appeared in X number of search results this week, making some of those tweaks in your profile will dramatically increase that number. So again, if you're looking to build a network and become more visible, that's a great way to see some improvement there as well, and to actually measure it from an analytical perspective. So building your network by leveraging your personal brand can help you, in your current role, can help you in your current job. It's not just when you're looking for a new opportunity, because your network isn't just a group of people that you chat with on LinkedIn. These could be new leads. These could be new vendors, new partners, or new customers, and so much more they're starting to build touch points with on a digital level. And then a third way that you could be leveraging your business or your personal brand online is when you're starting a business or looking to generate an additional stream of income. So the network that you begin to attract and, really build their personal brand online will naturally be your first potential customers or your clients or employees in starting a business. As you saw, the network that I was attracting through my own personal brand when I started to showcase and share some of my content had a huge ROI for both my business and my brand itself. People buy from people again. So if you think about, your local coffee shop, you probably know at least one or two baristas that you see every time, and you probably choose to keep going there because of the experience, which is their brand. That's their brand touch point with you. So it doesn't just taste good, but you have an experience and something that you actually remember when you go to that coffee shop. Think of your brand in the same way. It's an extension of you. And by always remaining consistent to your brand threads, you're able to continue to remain authentic, build trust online, and attract the right people to your network. Okay, so I want to do another little activity with you. So I know we did some work earlier to identify some of those brand threads, but I would love to take it one step further and do a live brand audit together. So how many of you have LinkedIn? I'm sure it's probably a lot of you. But if you're comfortable actually taking a look at your profile together as a group, what I would love to do is, go through one or two of your profiles together. So if you could drop your profile URL for LinkedIn in the chat, I would love to actually go through this, like I said, together, go through a couple of these questions to actually do a brand audit and help you get on the right track. So these questions that you can see there, we're going to go through are what you actually do for work, what you're looking to do next. So why are you actually on LinkedIn, what your brand threads are, and when, how, and why I should connect with you. So these are things that we're really thinking of when we're doing a brand audit of your LinkedIn. So what I'm going to do is just quickly stop sharing my screen. I'm going to go ahead and click one of your LinkedIn profiles and reshare my screen. And we're going to answer these questions and do a brand audit together. Give me 1 second. I see a lot of profiles. So first of all, I'm very happy to see that you're all on LinkedIn. Great start. All right. Okay, so give me just 1 second here. Okay, so I'm just going to grab 2 or 3 profiles here, and then we can go through them together. Okay, so I'm going to reshare my screen. If you could just let me know when you all can see it, okay? All right.
We can see it.
Okay. So this is one of the profiles that were in the chat. So Angel, Angel, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, so please feel free to correct me. Thank you so much for being vulnerable and allowing us to go through your profile together and do this live audit. So what I want to say, first of all, is this is the contact card I was talking about right here. So where you see that brand or that profile banner, you see the profile photo, his name, that he's an AI and data engineer. So you can see some of that right there. So if I'm thinking about some of the questions that we're looking at, what you do for work, well, I can see that you're an AI and data engineer. So that's interesting. If we're thinking about what you're looking to do next, I'm not quite sure yet. It doesn't really tell me in that part of your profile. If we're thinking about what your brand threads are, I know that you're in tech. It's very obvious to see as an AI and data engineer, but I'm not sure that I see much about who you are outside of your role or outside of your career. And then when we think about when, how, and why I should connect with you, I can see a contact info button here, which likely has, your LinkedIn profile, but I don't see any tangible way or call to action that we can connect, have a coffee chat, or get to know each other, or just connect on a networking level. So if I'm thinking about this contact card in ways that I may make some, changes here, starting with your banner image or your profile branding from a personal branding perspective, it can depend on what your limitations are. So I know some employers request specific photos or specific banner images. So you may have, restrictions on what that can look like for you in your role. But if you don't, that banner image doesn't really tell me a story. It's a great photo and it looks very cool, but doesn't really showcase who you are. So that could be an opportunity, again, to either pop something in that's relevant to who you are outside of work. It could be something where you can actually add some copy that showcases who you are and what you're looking to do, or what your personal brand is or your brand threads. So there's some components there. And then from your heading, where you're an AI and data engineer, I'd love to know what problems you're solving. So if you're an AI and data engineer, another way that could be written, for example, is, if you're working in e-commerce, it could be AI and data engineer who specializes in solving problems for customers in the e-commerce space. That's an example. It doesn't mean that, you work at e-commerce, but that could be a way that you could actually create a better story in your heading that showcases, okay, you're an AI and data engineer, you work in e-commerce, and you solve problems for customers. That makes sense. Interested to learn more. And then if we scroll down your profile a little bit to your About section, I can see here there's quite a few keywords. I know from a recruitment perspective, if I'm looking for data science and machine learning or engineers, you have those keywords in there. So from an SEO perspective, there's a great amount of information in there that's probably doing a lot of good work for you. Where it could potentially have some additional branding is putting some pieces in there about who you are. Because if I'm looking at this and reading, I'm seeing a lot about who you are at work. I'm seeing a lot about the work that you do, the problems that you solve, the tech stacks that you're familiar with, but I don't know who you are outside of work. I don't know who you're looking to be. I don't know why I should follow you other than from a professional perspective, but I would love to connect on a deeper level. So that's an area where you can actually add some additional context there into who you are outside of work. And sometimes that's as simple as, I'm a dog parent who loves fall, would love, if you're interested in having a coffee chat about your favorite dog breeds, send me a message here. It can be as easy as that. So that's a component there. I'm going to move to the next profile now, just for timing's sake here.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no worries. Hopefully
I
that
really
was helpful
appreciate
a little bit.
Very
Yeah.
helpful. Thank you.
Great, awesome. So Christelle, so I can see on your profile here, it's very obvious you live in Toronto. I can see the banner image there, which is great. So that tells the story of where you live. So if I'm looking for, people in the Toronto area, it's very obvious. That's great. I can see in that contact card as well that you're a forward-looking marketing associate, you're a marketing strategist, you're an account manager, you have startup experience, and you have e-commerce experience. Those are all really fantastic from an SEO perspective. So if you're looking for someone that is in e-commerce or in startup or has account management or marketing experience, you're likely going to show up in a lot of different search results. Where you could potentially have an opportunity to expand on this a little bit is try to narrow the focus into a clear understanding of what you're doing right now. So if you have startup experience and e-commerce experience, were those in the same place or were they different? If they were different, try focusing on what you're doing right now. So if you're in e-commerce now, great. If you're in startup now, great. And then again, if you're forward-looking marketing associate and a marketing strategist, there's an opportunity to condense that a little bit. So marketing is appearing twice. You're using a lot of valuable real estate to say pretty much the same thing. So, it could be that you are a, marketing strategist who, has account management experience in e-commerce and startups. It could kind of condense into something even that small, for an example. And then again, a call to action of, how can I connect with you? What do you actually do? So if we're thinking about, my profile, I'm just going to switch it over here for 1 second so you can see. So you can see in my profile here, I have that call to action where somebody can book a free consult with me because that's relevant to what I do. But if it's something where you're looking for a new job, it could be book a coffee chat with me and get to know what I do, or, book an interview with me. It's an interesting reverse approach, for a recruiter to see oh, book an interview with me. Easy. I don't have to do any scheduling work as a recruiter. Simple. So that's also, something that could be leveraged there. And then also here where it says providing services, this is something that I've highlighted on my profile and that you can as well, along with this talks about section. So this is an area of your profile that I don't see, but can be leveraged by just doing something very simple that all of you can do, and it's completely free on LinkedIn, is to actually turn on the creator profile mode. That allows a couple different things. It allows you to highlight the things that you're passionate about talking. So for example, on my profile, you can see that I talk about recruitment, LinkedIn tips, entrepreneurship, personal branding. So it showcases that in that contact card. And then also showcases the types of services you provide from an employment or employability perspective. And then even more so, it actually has deeper analytics into who's seeing your profile, who's visiting your profile. It can help provide context for you, from a branding perspective of, I'm seeing a lot of recruiters visit me, but no one's messaging me. Why is that happening? Or I'm getting a ton of influx of traffic to my profile now and lots of inbound opportunities. So hopefully that was helpful in terms of giving you some tips, Christelle, on what you could do to improve some of that contact card, section of your profile there. But for the sake of time, I'm going to move on. But hopefully that was beneficial for you there.
Kyle, I was thinking that maybe we can, you can help us with another LinkedIn profile, because I'm seeing that they are very interesting. And in that time, our participants, they can make their questions in the chat. So what do you think, Kyle? Can we do another profile, LinkedIn profile?
Yeah, I can do another one. Would you like to do another one?
Yes, please. And participants, dear participants, you can start to writing down your questions in the chat, please.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm just going to share my screen one more time here. Just give me 1 second.
Thank you. Yeah, it seems that a lot of our participants are very engaged with what you are saying, your
Yes.
recommendations.
Yes. And of course, I can imagine. I know that, even with my own clients that I speak to on a regular basis, these are things that everyone wants to know and has questions about. So I'll go ahead and do another one here and see if there's something else we can do. Okay, so this is actually a great example. Can everyone see Marco's profile here?
Yes.
Okay, great. So what's really interesting to highlight here is that Marco has the creator mode turned on. So you can see on Marco's profile that talks about section where you can see that they talk about AI, energy, data analytics, and project management. Those are fantastic resources that you can leverage on LinkedIn. Like I said, that creator mode and that talks about section, again, from an SEO perspective. So if I'm a recruiter and I'm looking for someone that works in AI, that has data analytics or project management experience, all three of those keywords are in Marco's contact card, essentially. So as I'm scrolling through LinkedIn Recruiter or Sales Navigator, sourcing and prospecting talent, those are keywords that are going to be popping up for them, which is really exciting. Again, I can see, in the heading here, results-driven professional, strategic thinker, project and stakeholder management, data science enthusiast, and I see that you have your PMP certification, which is amazing. But if we take a look at that, for example, there's an opportunity there to be a little bit more specific. So your results-driven professional, in what way, your strategic thinker, in what sort of role, and your project, you work in project and stakeholder management, you're a data science enthusiast. So I like that there's a lot of aspects there that kind of tell me holistically what you do. But to, refine it even further, telling a story about your current role. So, in your current role, I can see that you're an international business instructor. Previously you're a business management instructor. So I would focus on sharing that you educate. You're an educator at your core. You're someone that educates people on specific topics or specific, content, and then try to tie that in a little bit more and kind of give more of like a story, if that makes sense. So hopefully that was helpful as well.
Yeah. Thank you. So
No worries.
we already have some questions here.
Great.
From Sandra Cornejo. She's asking, how can we add the call to actions and hashtags in our profile?
Great question. So if you go to your LinkedIn profile, I'll share my screen. It's probably more beneficial that way.
Yes.
I'm going back and forth, but I'll share my screen just so you can see my LinkedIn here. And I'll show you exactly where it is and what it looks like, because that way you're not left trying to find it on your own. All right, so let me know when you can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay. So on your profile here, you'll see in this contact card section that there's little pencil icons. And that's where you can actually make edits to your profile if you're not already familiar. So for example, if you edit this section here, it'll allow you to go through every component of that contact card section, essentially, and make any edits or any changes. So for like a call to action or a custom button, for example, you'll be able to find that and do that here. And then if it's an area where you're looking to actually turn on your creator mode, there's usually a section down here under resources, and this is free. So it'll say creator mode, and it would say off on yours if you haven't turned it on yet. So you would just select that. You would go through and actually turn it on, and then you can actually add your profile topics right here. So those little hashtags that you see on that contact card on LinkedIn, you can just pop in right there. And then another tip that I have actually around those things that you talk about on your creator profile is down in your about section. You can actually add your top skills. And this is also a fantastic way to showcase who you are on a branding level, but also showcase it to recruiters or to your network. And the way you would do that is just, again, go to your editing for your about section. And then there's actually a skills section. You can just pop your top 5 skills that you want to be known for in. So hopefully that answered your question.
Thank you. We have a question from Daniel. He's asking, what tools do you recommend to create the LinkedIn cover? Any AI suggestion?
Great question. I mean, I'm always a fan of AI. That said, the caveat is that, you know, it should remain authentic to who you are in your brand thread. So AI is a great resource that you can leverage to be inspired or to get a better understanding of a topic, and to simplify it for yourself. But I would say something authentic, you know, is always the best case scenario. So if you're looking for something free, it can be a photo, you know, of you at work, or, you know, with your family, or you enjoying nature, if it's something as easy as that. Or if you're a little bit more tech savvy, you can use free platforms like Canva to actually create and generate, you know, LinkedIn banner photos. There's free templates on there that you can utilize. Or of course, you can always work with someone like me or another personal branding expert to create something custom for you.
Thank you. A question from Ana Maria. Once we have our branded profile ready, how relevant is to create posts on LinkedIn? What would be a good balance for someone that doesn't want to be a LinkedIn influencer,
Yeah,
but at the
you
same
know,
time relevant, you know, for recruiters?
exactly. Yeah. So I always say being an influencer doesn't mean that you have 100,000 followers. You might only have 100, but you're influential to the people that are most important to you, that you want to be influential to. So if you're thinking about, you know, what your mission is or what your goal is on LinkedIn, that will dictate what your posting schedule looks like, or what your personal brand looks like online from like a digital presence perspective. So if you're someone that's looking to, you know, land a new job, or you know, explore a new opportunity with a recruiter, my suggestion is, rather than posting a ton of content, is to actually comment and engage on a lot of content that is being posted. So if you're looking at, you know, hiring managers and recruiters from, you know, companies that you're attracted to, comment and engage with their posts, what they're talking about, because now you're visible to them. And then a great tip that I always have, you know, from a job perspective, is rather than posting on LinkedIn, if you're looking to get hired, message that recruiter directly, even, and just say like, hey, you know, hey Kyle, you know, I saw that you know, own a personal branding company, really exciting stuff. I'm really interested in getting into the space. Do you have 5 minutes this week for a quick chat? I would love to know, you know, what you're looking for as you build your team. That could be, you know, as simple as that, as a great way to get in the door as well. But then from a different perspective, if you're someone that's looking to build a network, your posting schedule should be a little bit more consistent and be very authentic, again, to what you actually do and what you want to be known for. So if you work in sales, it's probably not a good idea to talk about, you know, all of the different software development stuff that you know. That's great and that's exciting. But if you're in sales and looking to continue in a career in sales, and that's what you want to be known for, that software development can be kind of trickled in throughout the type of content that you're posting. That's, you know, piece of something you love. But try to focus your content on being relevant to who you're looking to attract, whether that's a network, and it's not, you know, necessarily an opportunity or a job, or just someone that you're looking to prospect. Maybe it's a customer or a potential client in the future. Hopefully that answered your question.
Thank you. And the last 2 questions is regarding the book a coffee button or link. How can we do that in our profile, the book a coffee? And
Great
the
question.
last one is how tips for creating content on LinkedIn.
Okay, so for the adding the, you know, have a coffee with me, or anything like that, that is, you know, it's a custom button. So on your LinkedIn profile, in that calling card section, that little pencil icon that we were looking at will allow you to edit that section. So you just scroll down to the bottom, there'll be a section where you can put in, you know, custom button or custom call to action, and it can be anything you want. So for me, it's an opportunity for people to book a free consult, you know, for my business. So it's a lead generator for me. But if you're looking for it to be a lead generator for you in your current role, maybe it's not book a free consult, but maybe it's, you know, book a demo or book a coffee chat. Or if you're a recruiter or a hiring manager, or you're a mentor, maybe it's understand what I do, or let's see if we can work together. It can be so many different things. But it's an area that you can have, you know, customized call to action that's relevant for you. And then as far as tips, you know, when it comes to posting content on LinkedIn, like I said, the work we did today was very foundational, but hopefully it gave you an idea of some of those threads, that connect who you are at home, who you are at work, and who you want to be known to, to strangers or essentially people on LinkedIn that you don't know. So I always say, go back to those threads and start to jot down or understand stories that you've experienced that relate to those areas. So if you are a mom or a dad or you're a parent, start writing down some of, the funniest stories or funniest learnings you've had as a parent. And then start to think about, okay, well, that's a funny story and that's going to resonate with a lot of parents on LinkedIn. But how can I even make it more relevant to like a career or professional network space? What did, that teach me about dealing with people or having patience? And that could be, a potential way that you can start to pull a story from that brand thread that's authentic to who you are outside of your profession, but can connect and be relevant to people in a professional, setting. So that's just one tip there, but I can go on and on.
Yes, I think I have now the last question because I'm also interested in this, in your answer. Is there a banner that says we are open to networking or to network? I think LinkedIn is that, the purpose of LinkedIn is that, but sometimes our followers or the person we want to connect with, they're just ghosting us, right? And
Yes.
so it's supposed that it is a networking platform, but sometimes it doesn't work that way.
Yes.
So what
So
would be recommendation? Yes.
yeah. So unfortunately, LinkedIn has those kind of like profile photo frames limited to just either open to work. So someone that's looking to land a new job. So if that's you, definitely leverage that. And then there's another one that's a hiring frame. So that's for someone that's in a position of leadership or in a hiring manager or recruitment role that showcases that they're looking for talent. So that's always, profiles that you can look at as well that are actively hiring. But outside of that, there isn't an option to say like, I'm looking to network. So where you can say that are a couple different places. It could be in your banner, in that banner image, creating something custom that highlights that intention of yours. Maybe it's in your actual heading. And it's, for example, mine says, I helped you get hired on LinkedIn. But if I was looking to change that to a networking perspective, it may say, I help you get hired on LinkedIn. Let's chat and find out how we can do it for you. So that could be a very easy example of how I can, highlight that intention. And then again, in that call to action that you can create a custom button, that's a great place where you can say, looking to network, let's have a coffee chat. That's a great way that you can do it as well.
Okay, Kyle. Well, thank you. Thank you for your answer and for your presentation. I think we are at the end of the webinar. Thank you very much, everyone. But we will have a photo group for the first time. So I think our team, we will indicate us. Okay, we will indicate us when is the right moment for the photo.
It's great seeing everybody's faces.
Exactly, it's exciting to see everyone face to face. Nice. And there is a lot of thank yous in the chat. Probably you've seen it.
Thank
Kyle.
you all so much. You have been incredibly participatory, and that was so beneficial. It, taught me hopefully as much as it taught you, and it's been an incredible experience. So thank you all for your engagement. Oh, thank you all. Thank you. And if anyone still has questions, I think there's Yvette, I think we'll highlight it, but I think there's going to be like a document that I can answer some additional questions if you have them. And then obviously you all have my LinkedIn, so you can feel free to reach out, chat, and let me know, how things are going as you start building your personal brand.
You need to say yes in the pop-up window in order to have your photo. I think the photo is done. Thank you.
Great.
So thank you, everyone. And Patricia Terrazas, I will reply you as soon as possible. And thank you again, all the Hispanotech members, and see you next week.
Thank
Have
you.
a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Awesome.
Yvette. Thank you, Kyle. So
Thank you
good
very
to see you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.